We live in a world filled with history all around us. And yet, many do not learn from history, learn from the impacts that history has had on today's society. One of the most successful historians was Jacob Burckhardt, and successful by the measure of him being able to learn from history and then predict the future based on what he learned from history. And one of the things that he points out, a very profound, short set of words, is with a thorough study of history, we see that humanity has not learned by studying history. In other words, he sees that history keeps repeating itself and that humanity doesn't learn from studying history and make it itself better, rather allowing the same types of engagements to occur time and time again. And that is where we are today, is we're living in a world that, on the one hand, uses history to justify its actions, but is at the risk of repeating history, allowing authoritarianism to overcome us, and allowing individuality to be lost. And that's where we are. We're going on 8 billion people in this world, and those are 8 billion individuals living their lives and hopefully learning from the past, learning from the present, but also learning from the past. We live in an age of free information, but that means that each individual needs to discern that information and come to a conclusion. People are using artificial intelligence to discern certain information, but the problem that I've spoken about in past videos is that the truth is rare, and even the AIs won't find the truth because it's overwhelmed with stories and with fiction and with fantasy. There's more fiction and fantasy in this world than there is truth. So it does take people to discern the truth. And the best thing to do is to study the actions of history, and looking at what happened throughout history, not just from the point of view from the conqueror, but also from the point of view from those that he conquered. What did they stand for? Why did they need to be conquered? You look at Joan of Arc, for example, who I've used as a number of examples. She freed France from 100 years of English occupation. She was a hero for France, yet she was burned at the stake as a witch, as a heretic. How do you reconcile those two things? Yeah, the church, much later, said they made a mistake, but why did it happen in the first place? Why do we allow it to happen today at the same time of calling people heretics because they're speaking a truth that's an uncomfortable truth? which I have been speaking for a long time, this uncomfortable truth that Jesus came to save us all, not just the righteous, not just the rich, not just the Christians, but all of humanity, including the ringleader. Jesus tells us a parable of the prodigal son, and this prodigal son that he speaks of is the second born of heaven, of his younger brother, of Lucifer, who squandered his inheritance and eventually will come home and will be celebrated when he comes home. But that is a long, long way off in the future. The Bible tells us, and Jesus tells us, to love our enemies. That's because our enemies are our brothers and sisters, are our long-lost relatives. How can we fight with our relatives who are in heaven? So we need to love them, and we need to care for them. But history doesn't allow us to do that, because we see the conquerors didn't love their fellow man. Rather, they destroyed their fellow man. They put them out of their misery. They killed the heretics. They killed the witches. They killed the infidels, putting them out of their misery, saving them. Saving them from what? Always people find excuses to destroy other people. There's always excuses. And those excuses are used throughout history. So please, I ask, study history. Understand how we got to where we are today. And understand who were the true thought leaders in history. And who were the thought destroyers. I think you'll find that it was the thought leaders who the thought destroyers killed. Christians forget that the Jews were behind killing Jesus because Jesus threatened their power. And so the Jews had the Romans kill Jesus. So think about that. Why would they kill somebody who brought the good news, who spoke of peace and love and caring for our brothers and sisters? Why kill somebody who speaks of peace?